Okay, man. Interesting stat of the week. Bronny
What's
James
that?
versus Marcus Jordan. Comparing their freshman stats, Marcus
Marcus
Jordan
Jordan.
has,
You mean Michael Jordan's son? Marcus Jordan.
yes, yes.
All right.
Comparing their freshman stats, Marcus Jordan has the edge. Albeit by not much, neither one of them has impressive stats. But Marcus Jordan has better stats than Bronny James after Bronny James's freshman season. What say you? What do you
Mm,
make of this?
that's interesting because from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, Bronny James looks like an overall better player. But sometimes what they say, numbers never lie. So we're looking at a different time back then compared to today. Um, I really want to believe that what we're seeing from LeBron or Bronny Jr., Bronny, LeBron Jr., however you want to say it, um, this boy might get a chance to showcase his talents in the league. And depending on where he go, we might be more surprised based on the stats that he's putting up in college. His stats are boo-boo in college. He had a cardiac arrest. He had all of that, you know, but something tells me that, he will be able to get off and get a little something going in the league if he got the opportunity to shine. So I don't know what to really make of the numbers, and his numbers look horrible compared to, well, not horrible, but less than compared to Marcus. But
Yeah,
I think that he would better off and do better in the league than what Marcus would if Marcus had that opportunity.
I think Bronny can play. Yes, his numbers are horrible compared to Marcus. And the fact that his numbers are comparable to Marcus Jordan means that his numbers are horrible. It
So
shouldn't be a comparison.
what's interesting about this is Austin Rivers made a comment, and he was basically stating that his numbers was better than Bronny James, and we knew that he was a role player, so he don't seem to think that Bronny would do half of what he's done in the league. And everybody know that Austin was All American. He was top notch everything. He was big time stuff. But when he got to the league, he was just a role player. So is that something that we can see from Bronny? We don't know. But if Antetokounmpo can get a shot, then Bronny should be able to as well.
Excellent point. And development is a big thing. Austin Rivers probably reached a peak at a very young age, and he reached his peak at a very young age. I'm trying to say, so he never developed and got better, I guess, because he was, I want to say, great at Duke. Austin Rivers was. He was very, very good. And and as far as Bronny, like I said, I think Bronny can play. Bronny was a McDonald's All American. And I
Yeah.
don't think they just put him on the team. I'm aware that his last name helps a lot. I'm aware of that. But I don't think they're just putting guys on the McDonald's All American team. Uh, um, you mentioned the cardiac arrest. I think that's a big, big deal. Uh,
Correct.
People don't come back from cardiac arrest and put up 20 a game in like Division I college basketball. I don't think so. I'm very excited to see how Bronny is going to look after a year to get himself healthy again. I think that's a big deal. Now, he did have some opportunities this year. I mean, 5 points a game is miserable. I mean, a freshman or not, 5 points a game is miserable. So through the season, USC is the college team that I watched most this season. So I saw a good bit of not a good bit of their games, but maybe 10 of them. And I wondered for a while, was it poor coaching? And maybe the system they're running doesn't suit Bronny and things like that. I was wondering that. But I also thought about they have this player, Isaiah Collier, who you know well. And he's also a McDonald's All-American. He plays the same
Position.
position as Bronny. he averaged about close to 20 points a game. I think it was 19 points a game in the same system. And when he was injured and Bronny was starting, Bronny didn't pick his numbers up in assists or points. And that made me question Bronny. So, like I said, I'm putting a lot of weight on the injury, on the cardiac arrest. I'm putting a lot of weight on that. And I'm very excited to see Bronny develop. And I even think he can boost his average up to like 15 points a game next season. If he does that, then he's right back to being all-American level in my book.
Well, one thing that you do got to look at too is, Isaiah Collier started from the beginning of the season with everybody. So they know his game, know what he can do, and he was able to work with the whole team. Bronny came in a little later. So even if he wanted to play his game, if they don't know what his game is, it makes it harder to do that. If you're the type of player that throws no look passes, if your teammates aren't expecting that, that's a turnover on you. So sometimes you just have to play basic basketball, and basic basketball sometimes don't cut it when you need to, go in and get what's needed. So I think there was a lot of things against Bronny this year through the cardiac arrest to where Collier had the edge. But, Collier went out and he was gritty and grimy. I feel that Bronny was a little more cautious, not more per se to say because of his injury he was cautious, but just more cautious on everything that he was doing because, really this young man is being scrutinized for every little thing just because of the name. So, he has to walk a different path and still be a kid at the same time. So that's difficult to do. So I commend him for everything that he's doing right now and not letting nothing get to him one way or the other.
I agree. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on him. You can't imagine the pressure that's on him with that name.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but overall, Bronny James versus Marcus Jordan, I'm going Bronny James. I think that this will be a discussion that you'll be able to have for the rest of this year and maybe through next season. I have looked ahead at Marcus' career stats in college. He did improve his stats each season. So Bronny has to make tremendous improvements to not be compared to Marcus, but he's probably going to always be compared to Marcus unless he has a pro career, which I think Bronny will. Like I said, overall, I'm going to take Bronny. I think Bronny was injured this year, and let's let him get healthy from cardiac arrest and see what he's made of then.
I want to see Bronny come out this year. I'm going to be honest. No, his numbers was not great, but I want to see him come out because I think that he can make an impact on some team.
I don't want to see him come out this
What
year. I
team?
want to.
Which team? I can't say which team, but again, hey, let's keep it real. Lakers got a second round pick. Let him come out there, be there with his dad, and then that will be beneficial. Sometimes people do play better depending on who they're with. And,
Definitely.
I think that it wouldn't be too much pressure on him if he was selected on the second round with the Lakers because they wouldn't expect too much from him. So he can just go out and do what he needs to do. And I think that would benefit him more than anything else. And you would see a tremendous jump from what he did in college this year compared to 1 year in the league. You would see a tremendous thing if that was to happen. I really believe that.
Yeah. I don't want to see him go pro yet. I want to see him in college another year. I want to see him make that tremendous jump in college. I want to see him go up to like 20 points a game for the season. And I'd like to see that. I want to see him lead a college team to some tournament success or something. Yeah. I'd
I
rather
don't
see
think that'll
that.
happen. I don't think that'll happen. Truth be told, I really think his points per game could be better in the NBA than in college. That's what I just really believe. I mean, some
Well,
people are the system player and some people aren't, and when it comes down to that, it's just like, I mean, look at Vince Carter. When Vince Carter played at Carolina, Vince Carter was second fiddle to Anton Jameson. They got drafted the same year, got traded for each other, and Antoine Jameson numbers went up tremendous. And I'm sorry, Vince Carter numbers went up tremendously, and Antoine Jameson was trying to find himself. So,
okay, man. Western Conference, number 1 seed. Currently, there's a logjam at the top 3 teams: Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets, OKC Thunder. Who do you think is going to come out on top at the end of the season and be the number 1 seed in the West? And also, Do you think it matters? Do you think that it matters to these teams to be number one seed?
Who do I think is going to come out to be number one? That's a good question. It depends on injuries with Minnesota. I'm going to stick with them. As long as everybody come back and they can finish out the season, I'll say Minnesota will retain that number one position and stay there. The team that it doesn't matter to is Denver. I don't think it matters to Denver that whatever seed they have. Like I said, no, that is not my pick to go to the Western Conference Finals, but they are still the reigning champs, and I'm going to give them their due respect. And until somebody beat them, they are going to be the ones there. That's not my pick, but they're going to be the ones there. I think, honestly, Minnesota might be the only team that can beat them in a 7-game series. Do I think Minnesota can win it all? No, I don't. I think Minnesota is one of the only teams that could possibly beat Denver and make it easy for somebody else to beat them to get to the championship. That's the only team that I could really see doing that. So I think that number one seed means more to Minnesota and that they will retain it more than anybody else. OKC, they're doing great. But let's call it what it is. They're too young. They are inexperienced and too young to know what the pressure is and how to deal with the pressure of the playoffs. Yeah. And we know Denver is proven. So, they can come in at the end and still be the top dog. So
I agree with nearly all those thoughts you just shared. I agree with most of that. I think that Denver doesn't need the number one seed. I think Denver is battle tested and proven. They're the champs. They don't need the number one seed to return. I think that OKC won't get there because they have a tough schedule. They still got to go to the East and play the Bucks. They play the Knicks and they play the Celtics. All those are road games. They got some tough games left. I don't think the Thunder are going to hold up. Also, I think the Thunder are young. I don't think the Thunder are going to make it to the finals. I mean, in all my years of watching NBA basketball, teams have to make a progression. Even the Warriors had to progress to being great. You don't just pop up, just bake a team up overnight like that. Teams have to go into the playoffs and be battle tested, make a couple of runs, and then there'll be a championship team.
We've seen this for OKC before. They had Harden, Kevin Durant, and Westbrook. So we've seen this before.
Yeah, we've seen this before.
So
I love the group that OKC has, but this is far from their year. They're not nearly ready to run to the finals yet. And Minnesota, I think Minnesota is going to come out of this number one. On Tuesday night, Minnesota lost by 3 to Denver, and they were without their whole front line. They didn't have Cat, they didn't have Rudy Gobert, and they didn't have Naz Reid. And they still were only 3 points down at the end of the game. They had a shot to tie it, and they missed. I'm saying all that to say I was very impressed with the Timberwolves, the fight they put up, because I'm always impressed with the Nuggets. The Nuggets always look good. We talk a lot about consistency, and the Nuggets are a model of consistency. Jokic is always great every night. Even if he only scores like 12 points, he's still probably going to have a triple-double, So the Nuggets are totally consistent. I'm starting to see that from the Timberwolves. Like I said, they showed me a lot to battle the Nuggets like that. But I do think the Timberwolves can beat the Nuggets. I do think that. But I think there's a lot of teams that can beat the Timberwolves at the same time. I think the Timberwolves are not a battle-tested championship team. I don't see that. So
that's why I said they can lead the way for somebody else to beat them. So they'll be the one to take the Nuggets out. So that way somebody can take Minnesota out en route to get a championship.
That's why I'm not ready to pick my Western Conference Finals team yet, because I want to see the seedings. It's according if the Nuggets don't meet the Timberwolves until the finals, till the Western Conference Finals, then I think the Nuggets will go all the way. I think Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in the finals.
I can agree with that.
But if the Nuggets run into the Timberwolves or the Thunder before the Western Conference Finals, I think the Nuggets could be beat by one of those teams. The Timberwolves, I think the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, and lightweight the Thunder could beat the Nuggets. That's what I think. But other than that, I really think the Nuggets are the best team. Like I just said, they look good every night. And if I had to pick today, I would pick the Nuggets to come out of the West. But like I said, I really want to see the seedings, how the seeding is going to shake out, and who's going to play who and when. And matchups, man. You know, that's my big thing. I got to see who's playing who.
Yes. Now, I'm going to throw one out there. Playoffs. I think the only other team other than Minnesota that could beat the Nuggets, and I mean early on, would probably be the Clippers. And that's because Kawhi shows up during the playoffs.
Yeah.
During the season, he doesn't, but during the playoffs, he does. And some things that he do is so amazing, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know why the guy don't play during the season, but when he gets to the playoffs, for some reason, things go in his favor.
Kawhi is beast mode in the playoffs. He's great in the playoffs, magnificent. But just like I told you last week, I don't even count the Clippers, man. They're too injury prone. They're too up and down. They're too inconsistent. I don't think the Clippers. I do think the Clippers could beat the Nuggets, and the Clippers could beat anyone in the playoffs. But anyone could beat the Clippers as well. You know, like I don't have any faith in the Clippers. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's a magnificent coach, but I don't like the Clippers. No hope, no faith in the Clippers. No.